Hello, product people. Welcome to the Product for Product podcast, hosted by Matt Green, data advocate and product manager, and Moshe product leader and author. Our goal is to serve the product community by helping you find products that can help make your work in product management easier. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Product for Product podcast.
Welcome back. Today we're wrapping up the series on startups. We were lucky to speak with founders that are building tools to help product managers and teams. We covered the tools of Abrio, Deliver, AMP, Loops, and Looksy. I think we learned a lot, so let's hop in. How you doing, Moshe?
I'm good. How are you, Matt?
Doing wonderful.
Excellent. Yes. Hi, everyone. And I every time that I wrote on LinkedIn about this series, I was always saying how excited I am about it. And it's not a cliche. I was really excited about
it. Same here. I really enjoyed it.
I really like, I love startups, and I love to see what startups are coming up with. And especially in this area of products for product managers that we are covering since last March. So it's going to be almost a year. Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's flown by. We're on 40. We're going to be 42 episodes in. So this was a really great series. This was one I really enjoyed the editing of the shows and listening back to and hearing the founders speak about their products. You know, I don't want to play favorites when it comes to our series and our episodes. I love all of our guests and our conversations, but something about these founders, and when they talk about their products, there's this extra level of commitment to them that really comes through, and I think in the conversation. So I hope that all the listeners really enjoyed them as much as you and I did.
Yeah, and it's different because usually we are talking with the users of the applications, not the founders or the owners of those applications. So it's a bit different. So you will see a different type of energy, but startup energy is something completely different altogether. Now, when we were looking into doing this session, I was thinking, how should we actually talk about it? Because usually our previous summary episodes were all about the same topic and different products for the same type of solution or same type of problem that has a solution. But here, each one of them was quite different. So I was thinking maybe if it makes sense, we can talk about the lean life cycle of a product. So the lean life cycle usually is you learn, you build, you measure, and then you repeat. Learn, build, and measure. And that's easy to convey for many people because a lot of us are practicing that. Mm-hmm. And then I was thinking, okay, so in the learn, build, measure, where each one of those products that we talked about actually falls. Is it falling under, the build, the learn, or the measure? So if that makes sense, then let's do that.
Sounds good to me.
Perfect. So maybe the first one we should start, I think, between all of those that we were talking about, I want to start talking about Deliver. Deliver is, I think, mostly on the build, but it is somewhere in the learn as well. To me, it's mostly in the build because it is the precursor for the backlog system, the Jira, etc., where we put our different stories, etc. This is where we actually come before that and we build the epic. Now, in that period in the product lifecycle, we do learn a lot. So there is a lot of learning to do. And one of their features in Deliver is questions and answering those questions. So everyone know what were the questions we asked about a specific thing, and everyone know what the answer and what the resolution for this. So it's all in one place. So maybe it kind of fall between the learn and the build, although to me it leans more towards the build because by itself it's not a discovery product or a testing product. It's more like where I can put all the information in one place so I can actually go and build the right thing, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I agree with that. It's somewhere between the build and the learn cycle because there is that element of shared understanding, I think, that Niels and team are going for when it comes to you have your epic and you have everything that goes along with it. There is a level of discovery there, from a new team member that comes on board or that you're trying to share with this stuff with stakeholders and other users. There is a level of, hey, everything you need is going to be in this module here, this epic, instead of having to go all these different places. So I think that level of learn is there, but to your point, the build, the epic, the name epic, and the fact that it works in a two-way sync with Jira, that many of us use, and hopefully Azure DevOps at some point. And so I think it does play both sides.
Yeah. And in general, when we think about products that are in each one of them, they're not in each one of these, section of the flow, they're not really distinct. So learn can go into build can go into measure, measure can go into learn. And that's really the idea, that we're not, just doing this or just doing that. And in general, we are trying to do all of them at the same time. So looking at it as just a loop is not really inaccurate, because there are many small loops that we're doing all the time anyway.
You're always doing continuous discovery, right? So you're always trying to practice that, but
exactly.
there's not a hard line between the learn and the build and the measure, but it is good. It is a good path to follow, though.
Yeah. So any thoughts about Deliver other than that? What really impressed you there?
I really like the commitment they're making to, again, the shared understanding aspect, the ability to consolidate things into an overall arching epic, a story, bragging all the stories in, the design, the solution, the problems, really define everything for the team. I see that a lack in product management, product teams. I see there's a lack of that shared understanding. And when it comes to building things, you have the dev, you have the product manager, you have the users and the customers. And, I think being able to bring all that in and then bring that into a dashboard and bring that into a presentation where, you can show the team this and present it in a clean and understandable way. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's not just showing to them, but everyone actually feed into it. So it's give and take for everyone. And a small confession on my end, after we recorded it, I actually went and registered as a trial or as a free tier. And because I really felt that I need something like that. Today, I do have different places where I keep my information. I have documents for what we call the project charter, but they're calling it PRD. And then I have my Miro board and other boards with links between them. And I have some Excel spreadsheets, and I have lots of many different things. I also have, epics on the on just definition in the roadmap tool that I'm using. So there is a lot going on, but my confession is that I didn't complete the registration because I got distracted by other things. So I didn't finish setting it up, but I already was quite impressed from what I've seen with the registration and the setup. It was very fresh and cool and forward looking, both on the design and how they set it up and help the user with that. So I do plan to continue with that and look at it and see, can I use it and help my team as well. So it's definitely, and that's also one of the things I really liked about it, that it was very approachable. I could start using it right away, and I saw the value right away for what I need. So that was one of my top takes from that episode.
Yeah, and I also like, speaking of teams, I like the ability to have conversations in the application, making comments, making statements about the work within the application itself. So you don't have to go to Jira for comments. It's all like in there for you.
And they structure it as a document. So at the end of the day, it has a very nice structure. So it's not like, again, a mess within just a new application, but they really try to help you with that. Cool. So the next one I think that we should talk about is Avrio. Avrio, to me, is about putting together all the things that we learned about our learnings from different areas of, what we tried, what we heard, and stuff like that. So it's a bit about, I think it's somewhere between learn and build. When I originally put it on my visual representation, and I hope to share it with everyone, I put it under the build related to knowledge base, but it could be also maybe more than that. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to pound the shared understanding drum and again mention Avrio in the terms of this is one that I have started using. So I signed up for the free trial of Abrio because it has the Chrome extension. So I've started using it with some of the work I'm doing now. I'm having to reprogram my brain in my workflow in my mind to use it, because it is a tool that tries to consolidate all your stuff, all your notes into one unified kind of platform in Abrio. So, but it again, there's an opportunity here to record what you're doing as a team, what you're doing as an individual. And I think that obviously there's an element of learn there, but there's an element of build, because you're building something and you need to document this. So this might be an opportunity when it comes to building requirements, documenting requirements, and having a centralized spot where people can come and find that stuff. I think that's where Abrio kind of fits between learn and build.
Yeah, so from what you have seen, do you see them complementing each other, the Liber and Avrio, or do you see them?
Yeah, there's some synergy between the two. They're definitely different. I think they're definitely taking different approaches. And this is not having used Deliver personally, but there does seem to be some effort to consolidate knowledge base and just try to get people onto a platform, onto a workflow of, hey, we need to all work as a team. We need to share information. We need to work in a cohesive collaboration process. So I think that's why they, in the graphic we'll share with the community, I think that those two really kind of sit on that learn build side. Yeah. They're just taking two different approaches.
But of course also if we measured something and we have some data about something that was measured, then it could be pulled into Avrio to share it with other people in the organization. So that knowledge base is definitely something that can be covering a cross function of the workflow. And also sometimes, knowledge base is something that I sometimes think about, how can we build a knowledge base for our users as product managers? But on the other end, knowledge base is also internal. So this is more for the internal part of the product team. And how do we build the internal knowledge base about everything that we've done, everything that we've tried, what did we learn? So it might fall also under learn. So that's really is the hard thing sometimes to, try to shove it into one type of
one or the other.
Yeah.
And I think that's to their advantage. I think when you're creating a new solution and you've defined a problem in the market, you want to have the freedom to kind of move within these two spaces. You don't want to just be the solution that does one thing. Yeah. You really want to cross over.
Yeah. But listen, if I had time to try every product in the world, I probably would have.
Me too.
It's a matter of time. So it's funny that, you tried one, I tried the other, which is kind of sometimes that's how it works. Different products can resonate with different people in different ways. And based on the approach they're taking, their point of view, their design, it could be many different things, really. Not that I'm saying that, the other cannot work for each one of us. It's just it just happened. Right?
It's whatever you gravitate. I gravitated to it because I'm on Chrome. So we use Google everything at the company I work for. So I just gravitated because it had a Chrome extension.
Yeah. So, well, my problem right now with Deliver, which we talked with Niels, was that it's not integrated yet with Azure DevOps, but he said this is very high on their backlog. So hopefully they will do that. But he did show me how I can still link the two, but it's just a manual link. It's not automatic. Okay, cool. Next, I think I want to talk about loops. And the reason there is because loops I put more into the measure cycle. So after the build comes the measure. With the measure, there is a lot of way to measure things. And then we talked in the past about many data analytics products. Loops, the way that I see it, kind of takes it to the next level, all of those analytics products or all the analytics or information we have about the product, where it can actually give us insights from this information. What should we do next? What would we look into? And then some curated, for those who didn't listen to the episode before, they also provide some curated examples from industry all over the world about how people solved or how did they handle specific situations that are similar to ours. So does that make sense to you as well, that's where it might fit?
Yeah, I agree. It's in that space. It's an evolution on the like you're saying, on the product analytics side of things.
Mm-hmm.
It does take your product analytics, but I think the effort that Loops is making there is to take all the data that might impact your product and really kind of unify it, and do that through machine learning and data science, running algorithms to find these patterns and find these, hidden insights that you might not normally see in your data. Beyond just the product analytics, I think it's much broader scope of things that might impact your ultimate customer and product.
Right. And both about Loops, but also about the next one we'll talk about, AMP. I felt that there is a bit more a higher entry point there to get into it, because it's very linked towards the data, the collection of the data, a lot of data points in there. So probably it's not as simple to start using them as the Liber or Avrio. Is that your impression as well?
Yeah, I think so. They seem to be something that's probably going to be suited for someone who's looking to scale and looking to take it that next step and that next leap. Where I think Avrio is something anybody, individual contributor could get up and running. And start to build something, for just a small team inside a company, and then have that scale out. But with Loops, doing the Loops and AMP, which we'll get to, they're running these algorithms. They're more on the data side of things, and you definitely want to have, at the end of the day, you're going to probably have engineering probably involved in some capacity.
Yeah, and I think that's part of also what they're doing. They're helping. I don't remember exactly if they have services for that, or it's just part of the onboarding or part of the customer success there to help them with that. But I think there is a bit more involved to really get it to work. But I still, it's very impressive product what they're doing with the level of insights, and it's kind of started showing us the answers we were looking for when we were talking about previous products, about how do I actually see real insights. I know that some of the products we talked about before do try to go into that. I think all of them, Pendo, Heap, Mixpanel, Amplitude, all of them has this level of, how can we help our users to really action on the data that we're collecting for them and showing them. It seems Loops is really getting it to the next level. So that was really exciting for both of us.
Yeah, I really like that, because I like, machine learning. I like the things that are possible with machine learning. It's nice to see that kind of stuff working its way into product when it comes to recommendations and trying to identify things that you might not normally see, but not do that in an individual way, but do that through automation and algorithms.
Yeah, and if we're talking about machine learning and AI, so we can also move to the next product, which we mentioned before will be AMP. The reason I think AMP, I wanted to talk about it next, is AMP to me is a very interesting product, because it's a bit of an extension to what we talked about with experimentation, our experimentation series with the different A/B testing, where with AMP you actually don't really need to do A/B testing, but you allow AMP with the different AI modules that it has to customize your product. And right now it's only mobile consumer mobile products, I believe. But in general, they allow to customize it not just to 2 cohorts or 3 cohorts or 4 cohorts, but almost to every type of person that is out there that might have different needs than other people. So that's really interesting. So I put it kind of under the learn, but it's also a bit under the build, because from learning perspective, if we're talking about experiments, the AI is doing the experiments for us, and it's creating, giving them the right messaging and the right experience. But it's also kind of related to the build, because we don't have to build something like that, but we can use AMP to give this powerful engine in there to our applications. So it's a quite interesting product as well. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. AMP obviously has the data, the measurement side of things, because it is using the analytics and predictive analytics and being able to personalize things. And to your point, there is a level of learning there. I think that it's obviously learning from a personalization and data consumption perspective. And then there is a build there. So there is the ability to influence and prioritize and really build something that hones in on not just a group of people or a segment of people, but actual individual people, and really provide personalized messaging that really makes you feel like you're getting value from the product.
Right. And when I'm looking at build, I'm most of the time looking at, okay, so what do we have to build in our solution to make it work, to make a great solution for our clients and create value? And if there is something that someone else built that I can use as a component in my build, then I don't have to go and build that, again. I don't have to reinvent the wheel for some of it. Most of the car manufacturers are not reinventing wheels. They're going to, companies that are creating wheels and making the wheels better all the time. So the same thing here, AMP is creating this type of functionality that can be used as part of the build and take away a lot from the learn that many companies these days are doing. So this is kind of like pushing it from the learn to the build. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, it is. It takes that in-app messaging that we talked about and really, taking that and then going to the next step of saying, okay, let's not have to build an AMP in-house. Let's actually just use what AMP is doing to make our, builds better, make our work more valuable to the customer.
Exactly. And then the last product was Luxy, which we talked about in the previous episode. This one, actually, I had the hardest time actually putting it in a specific coordinate of this workflow. So Luxy is right now a product that helps in creating analytics on the UX and accessibility of your products. But their vision is much larger than that, and creating really tools for UX and anyone that is have to work with the UX in a way in the product team. I think part of it is on the build side, because when we build our product, we need to get this information about is the product accessible, can people use it in different type of with different type of disabilities, etc. But then also it helps us learn, what are the different types of things that we have to measure and learn. Actually, what are the different types of things that we have to fix in our product in order to get better UX and measure those things as well. So it kind of feels like it covers almost the entire thing.
I liked Luxy. Luxy was something that I wasn't even thinking about necessarily. I from the UX perspective and UX audits and the ability to look at a website and understand where all the things are and how people experience it, that's one thing. But actually go through and do these audits, I didn't really understand that space was such a problem that needed to be solved. So it's really interesting to see Brandon and Luxy taking that on.
And that's what happened when you're becoming an SME on some of these things. Like he said, he was working with UX for so many years now that he saw these problems. Then you see the problems right away, where we were a bit remote from that. So for us, we don't see how hard it is and how big is the problem. And I've seen and I've looked into products in the past that's supposed to help you do this, but based on what we learned from Brandon, there is a lot of to be done still in this type of products. So there is quite a bit of development that needs to be done until it's actually mature enough. And maybe it's a matter of maturity as well.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a more of a recent thing that people actually started caring about and really making product accessible.
As Luxy matures, I think we talked about it with Brandon that there's going to be a level of reporting, level of measurement, and so you'll have the measurement piece of things when it comes to are my changes in the UX of my application being effective, or is there analytics that we can present? And then there's the learn and the compliance side of things, and then there's the build side of things. Before you build it, are you building the right UX into your application? So there's things that you need to consider before you even release the version 1 or the MVP.
Yeah. And with this one also, after the episode, I actually shared the link of Luxy internally where I work. We'll see what happens, right? Because I think that there is always value in looking in these type of new solutions that are out there.
Yeah, and I think Looksy's, I think he just launched very recently, so I'm really anxious to see it grow. I
Mhm.
think it's got of the ones we spoke about. I think it's the most recent to launch.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And anxious in a good way, right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm anxious to see it. I'm anxious to see it
Yes.
grow. I
Yeah.
think it's an interesting space because he
Mhm.
spoke about how UX doesn't have a unified product stack. They kind of just use various different tools and they have to do all
Mhm.
this manually. And
Mhm.
him taking an automated approach, I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure there is plenty of other startups that we could talk with out there. And I'm really happy that we found these five and were able to talk with all of them. We definitely learned a lot about new opportunities, what is coming up, what problems, new problems people are trying to solve. I'm sure we will do more of these in the future.
yeah, this was fun, and this opens up an opportunity, like you're saying, to do more down the road. I think these types of startups, we all know that startups are popping up every day, and they're trying to solve problems for people and product. And I think that hopefully this will draw more founders to come talk with us because we would love to speak with them because I like we're both saying this was a really enjoyable
Mhm.
series we put together.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So, what's next for us? We need to decide still about our next series. So, we are going to do maybe when this airs already, we'll decide. But there is going to be a few other series coming up. We are also have other people that we are going to interview about specific topics. So, we're excited to share that as well. I think we are going to have a busy year.
We're closing in on year one, and I think year two is just going to be a continuation of great guests, great products, great conversations. So I'm really thankful to all the listeners and to you, Moshe, and to all of our guests that come on.
Yes, same here. And thank you to you, Matt, as well, and to all of our listeners. And if anyone has either a specific topic they would like to share with us about specific product or tool that they're using for their product management or product team or startup that is doing something cool, let us know.
Yep, we're all ears. Thanks again to everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.